Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Friday. I know that everyone is anxiously awaiting our reopening, which happens on Monday. I'm excited too. I know there's been a lot of staff training and development that they've been working on. I did have a really good, thorough News and View recording on Wednesday, which has replayed several times. I hope that you have had the opportunity to watch that because it really doesn't get much more thorough than that. So today I wanted to go in a little bit of a different direction. So I had posed in my previous update that certainly if anybody had questions regarding coronavirus or reopening plans, to certainly leave a voicemail and I would address it. We would do a Q&A. I didn't get any voicemails with regards to the questions on reopening. So I'm grateful for that. Hopefully that means that I was thorough enough in our News and Views update. The majority of the questions that I got were about dining and dining room times, and I don't want this time and I want that time and I'm gonna stay in my apartment anyway. All of that got fielded to Janelle, and I encourage you, if you have questions about a specific department or need to interact with a specific department, call that department manager directly. So Janelle, I believe, is 6290, I think is his extension. So you'll want to speak to Janelle directly. Okay, so today we're going to go in a little bit different of a direction, although I will say, coronavirus isn't over. It's far from over, and I know from watching the news personally, and you all, of course, are seeing the news as well. Florida is nowhere near out of the weeds. I got word that 3 of our 5-star communities have had new positive cases just today. That is not here. I don't even know if that's here in Palm Beach County. I think it may be just in the state of Florida that 3 of our sister properties have new cases. So we continue to need to protect ourselves and manage ourselves appropriately. Someone shared with me the concern that we're no longer going to be taking resident temperatures, and the concern that people won't self-police, won't manage themselves, but rather be so excited to get back to the dining room that they will show up to the dining room sick and infect everybody. The key reminder that I have for you is that the people without symptoms are the ones who are predominantly spreading this virus. So again, the 2 cases that we've had here, 1 resident, 1 staff member, neither had symptoms. We only caught it because they were tested. So, going around taking people's temperature isn't going to catch, it's not getting ahead in any way. So, we will ask that residents, of course, monitor themselves. I know that when you enter certain areas like the salon, I gotta remind Jerry, the salon and programs and things, you will be temperature tested. Of course, coming in and out of the building, you will be temperature tested. But again, it's the asymptomatic spread that we have to worry about. So don't worry about the person who's coughing on a cough drop. Obviously stay away from them too. But the person who's sitting next to you who looks fine and healthy could be a super spreader. So wear your mask, keep your 6 feet of distance, and wash your hands. That's all I'm going to say on that. Okay. So we are going to have a special News and Views today because the partition is closed here in the auditorium. I can't see the clock, so I have no idea how long I'm running, but I'm going to go through it and then we'll figure that out on the end. Do you have something scheduled after this? Okay, I'm good. All right. So I got a letter from the U.S. Department of Justice, and I'm going to read through it kind of quickly here. Dear Sir, Madam, I'm contacting you today to provide some important information about a serious and growing threat, elder fraud. Please consider sharing this letter and the accompanying material with your staff and residents so that they can become more familiar with common scams and know what to do if they become a victim. So in October of 2017, the Elder Abuse and Prosecution Act was signed into law. Since then, the FBI, along with the Department of Justice and many other law enforcement agencies, have joined forces in the National Elder Fraud Initiative to combat fraud and swindles victimizing older adults. Enclosed with this letter, please find details about common elder fraud schemes, COVID-19 fraud schemes, and a list of helpful resources. Additionally, there's a short video, which I'm going to show you, featuring former FBI Director William Webster speaking about his experience of being targeted by a lottery scam in 2014. He was 94. So a FBI director, this is a great video. You're going to see a little snippet of him just demonstrating that any of our senior citizens can become the target of these scams. So I want to start with the video. It's about three and a half minutes long. So Chris is going to cue the video, and then when the video ends in 3.5 minutes, you'll be back here with me. So, and I'm going to pause the video here.
I get more calls than you would anticipate, and this one sounded like I had won something, congratulations and so forth.
The total value of the award is about 72 million.
72?
72 million. You're the first place winner. And the reason why they selected you to give you this amount, because I do some of your background check. I know that you was a judge, you was a lawyer, you was in the U.S. Navy, Homeland Security, the basketball team, and all of those stuff. I do your background check.
In this particular case, I think my wife heard me having a conversation, and she was protesting in her own sweet way that my playing around with somebody like that don't string him along. Later, I don't know how the conversation turned sour, but it did. And at that point, he shifted gears, and instead of sweet talk, he began to threaten her.
Hey, I know you're playing around, right? You know what I'm going to do? I won't call you back. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill your husband. I'm going to set your house on fire because you seem to be playing around and you doesn't know who am I. So listen, I'm not giving you any more warning. I'm just going to send out my guys and listen. Anytime you put back yourself in Washington, D.C., you'll be killed. Book of Sniper, I know you're home. You see, you live, the place where you're home at, you live at a very lonely place. And the moment you arrive, I'm going to put a shot in your head. I'm going to burn your house down. I don't play.
And as time went along, I learned how significant the victimization of older people was, and that worried me. I was older myself enough to be sympathetic with how older people without my maybe background experience might react to situation. The average older person doesn't get caught in a bind where they're the screws are turning on them. They think something good is happening. They want to believe it. They find out it's not going to happen. They've often paid some money in order to get something it was explained was needed in order to go take the next step and to get bigger sums of money coming their way. Older people like to think they're still valuable for one reason or another, regardless of what they've done. It was a game, whatever it was, they were able to be convinced that they were about to get something good to show they were still in the money.
Action. Okay, that was pretty scary. For those who had a hard time following the subtitles there, the scammer knew that this man was a judge, a former judge. He insinuated that he knew where he lived. And when the scammer realized that the former FBI director, he didn't know he was in the FBI, but when he realized that the senior was pulling his leg or playing around and basically, jerking him around, he got really violent, threatened to kill him and threatened to burn his house down. So, that certainly is very scary. And unfortunately, it's very common. So, the Department of Justice sent me 2 pages to share. The first one is frauds and scams that target older adults here in South Florida specifically. Grandparent scams, where scammers call or email the victim posing as a relative in distress, right? They got in an accident, they got arrested, they got kidnapped, or an attorney of the relative in trouble, and the victim is asked to wire money immediately to pay some sort of a bill or legal fee or bail or some other fictitious expense. That's a common one, and I've heard of that one as well. I actually had a resident have that happen. It was her grandson got in a car accident, and they needed to send money right away because his insurance couldn't be verified. You hear these and you're like, how does anybody fall for this stuff? But when you're in the heat of the moment and you've gotten that phone call that your grandson got in a car accident and needs money, you're just like, oh my God, where's my wallet? Stop, think, and think about what's happening. Sweepstakes or lottery scams like the one where the judge here, the former FBI director, shared, you've won some lottery from somewhere and you just need to send me the money in order to pay the taxes, or give me your credit card information so that we can send you the money. Romance scams, we're all still active here. Scammers usually using social networking, dating, chat rooms, or social media sites to meet fake victims, and then they drain you of your bank account because they need help with whatever. Tech support scams. This has hit our community twice now. You get the little bubble on your computer that says that there's a problem with your account, or there's a problem with your Microsoft. Call this number, give us your credit card information, and we'll fix it. Scammers contact victims either online or by telephone, claiming to be computer techs with well-known companies. After informing the victim that their computer has been infected with a virus, they either demand a fee to remove the virus or request access to the victim's computer to fix it. And then they install their own programs that steals your sensitive information. Government imposters. Scammers pose as law enforcement officers, county inspectors, immigration or tax officials, and inform the victim that they're overdue on paying some fictitious fine and that they will be arrested if they don't pay it immediately. Not on this list, but happens to us as a business very often, is we get the phone call, and it's usually after hours or on the weekend when they know that managers aren't here. They call and they say they're calling from FPL and we have an overdue balance, and if we don't pay that right away, they've got somebody on their way who's going to turn our power off. And so my overnight concierge gets this phone call at 5 o'clock in the morning and is, frantic. Oh my goodness, somebody's on their way to cut our power off because we haven't paid our FPL bill. No, that's not real. And they even have called to residents, and residents know it's a scam because they know that they don't have an FPL bill. We take care of it all. So that's another one. Fake charities. Scammers create fake charities and online contact people online or for the phone, claiming to solicit money for an emergency that's currently in the news, an earthquake somewhere or a hurricane somewhere. Others claim to be members of the U.S. military overseas, needing financial help. Guardian fraud. Trusted relatives or caretakers pressure victims to grant them access to financial resources or properties through a power of attorney or a shared bank account, a deed, and then use the money for their own ends. That is more of an exploitation than a scam, but still one that happens way too often for seniors. And I see these because I've been in this industry. I know the things that they've targeted seniors with. Now let's go through the most recent things that we need to be cautious of course, because we have a pandemic. So coronavirus and quarantine scams. The virus stimulus checks. Scammers are using stolen identities to redirect stimulus checks to their accounts. This may include websites posing as a government site pretending to provide information after the victim enters their personal information. Others claim to be expedited agencies, and they can expedite your check for a fee. Imposters. Scammers claiming to be government agencies or banks contact victims to obtain sensitive personal information. They need you to confirm your account number or require advance payment to obtain government services. This scam may also include emails from banks, quote, banks, or government agencies soliciting personal information or advance payment. Your bank will never contact you and ask you for your account information. They know your information probably better than you do. So, don't fall for somebody calling you and requesting information, personal information. Fruit fly here. Price gouging. Scammers are charging excessive amounts for necessary items, including vital medical supplies. Right? We see that with masks. So a company wanted to sell us surgical masks, but they wanted $20 a mask. They're 88 cents a piece. Price gouging. Fake vendors. Scammers are selling scarce items, cleaning supplies, masks, test kits, often online or by telephone, and accepting payment without actually having any of the promised items. I will tell you, I was a victim to this. I paid $19.95 plus shipping to an online company that popped up on my Instagram account. This was back in January or February when this all first started. And I said, oh, I need to get one of those N95 masks. And it's the nice, fabric with the filter system. So of course I gave my credit card information. I ordered one of those masks. It's been 4.5 months and I haven't received it yet. I've asked for a refund 3 times and all I keep getting is an automated, we appreciate your patience while your item is on its way. Yeah, well, they got my $20 plus shipping. Scam buyers or delivery services. Unscrupulous individuals are approaching vulnerable older adults or their caretakers who are sheltering in place during the pandemic and offering to shop for and deliver needed items, groceries, and medicines. After receiving advance payment, these scammers disappear. So obviously that brings up, I'm no longer doing the grocery shopping. If you are seeking people to do that service for you, please make sure to vet them out, make sure that they're a legitimate company and that they're not going to take your $100 bill and disappear, right? Buy their own groceries and never see you again. Fake cures and vaccines. Like snake oil salesmen from earlier times, scammers are claiming to have access to medicines, test kits, or vaccines. These are usually non-existent or of dubious origin or medical effectiveness. Government loan scams. Ruthless scammers are claiming to be able to provide government loans under the Payroll Protection or the Small Business Administration's Economic Injury Disaster Loan after receiving a down payment from the victim. Investment scams. Scammers and boiler rooms claim to have an incredible investment opportunity in some fictitious or unproven company on the brink of developing a coronavirus cure. So if you've got a lot of money and you think about putting in an investment, be careful that you're dealing with someone who is of, again, you have to vet these people out. If someone randomly calls you and says that this company is about to blow it up big because they've got the secret cure, this dirt in Canada that they've uncovered, I don't know. Be cautious. A lot of you have a lot of money, and there are a lot of people out there who are just trying to figure out a way to get their hands into it. So anyway, so those are the common scams that were shared with us. I do have lots of information that they shared with us also. Brochures on financial scams, how to avoid coronavirus scams. And this one I do want to read through. It is a brochure, 10 things you can do to avoid fraud. Number 1, spot imposters. Scammers often pretend to be someone you trust, like a government official, a family member, a charity, or a company that you have done business with in the past. Don't send money or give out personal information in response to an unexpected request. Whether it comes in as a text, an email, a phone call, you have to protect yourself. Do online research. So type a company or product name into your search engine with words like review, complaint, scam, and search for the phrase that describes your situation, like an IRS call. You can even search for phone numbers to see if other people have reported them as scams. For those of us with cell phones, a lot of times on my phone, I'll get scam likely pops up, and I know not to answer those. Don't believe your caller ID. Well, there's number 3. Don't believe your caller ID. Technology makes it easy for scammers to fake caller ID information. So the name and number you see aren't always real, right? So it may look like Wells Fargo is calling, but if you look closely, it's Well Fargo, not Wells Fargo. And then, of course, we're quick to answer the phone because our bank is calling us. What do they want? If someone calls asking for money or personal information, hang up. If you think the caller might be telling the truth, call back to a number that you know is genuine. So hang up on the Wells Fargo and call the number on the back of your credit card and say, did you all just try to call me? And if so, what for? You will probably find that the information, the call was fraudulent. Don't pay up front for a promise. Someone might ask you to pay in advance for things like debt relief, credit and loan offers, mortgage assistance, or a job. They might even say you won a prize. But first you have to pay the taxes or the fees. If you do, they will probably take the money and disappear. Learn where to get help with these issues at consumer.ftc.gov. And of course, all of this information I'll make available to you all. Consider how you pay for things. Credit cards have significant fraud protection built in, but some payment methods don't. Wiring money through services like Western Union or MoneyGram is very risky because it's nearly impossible to get your money back. That's also true for reloadable cards like the Money Pack or Reload It, and gift cards like iTunes, Google Pay, the American Express gift cards. Government offices and honest companies won't require you to use these forms of payment. Remember that. Talk to someone. Before you give up your money or personal information, talk to someone you trust. Con artists want you to make decisions in a hurry. They might even threaten you, like we saw in the video. Slow down, check out the story, do an online search, consult an expert, or just tell a friend. I shared with you one time, one of my residents at the Phoenix where I worked previously came down in a hurry. She needed transportation to take her to the bank, and she didn't really say a whole lot, but as they were riding along, she said something to the driver that her, I think this was the one where her grandson had gotten into a car accident. She needed to get this money to whoever. And the driver was like, wait, no. So they called the grandson, and he answers and he says, no, Grandma, I'm fine. What are you talking about? You have to be cautious. Talk to people. Sometimes just having a conversation with somebody makes you think through it enough to have the conversation, and then the other person can kind of go back and forth with you a little bit. Hang up on robocalls. If you answer the phone and hear a recorded sales pitch, hang up. These calls are illegal. You can report them to the FTC, and often the products are bogus. Don't press 1 to speak to a person to be taken off the list. That could just lead to more calls. Be skeptical about free trial offers. Some companies use free trials to sign you up for products and bill you every month until you cancel. Before you agree to a free trial, research the company and read the cancellation policy. Always review your monthly statements for charges that you don't recognize. Don't deposit a check and wire money back. This is one of the biggest scams when I feel like when email first came out, that was the first scam. By law, banks must make funds from deposited checks available within days, but uncovering a fake check can take weeks. If a check you deposit turns out to be fake, you're responsible for repaying the bank. I had a friend fall for this one. He was selling a car or something. I forget what he was selling. He was selling something. He posted it online. Somebody said, yes, I'm interested in buying it, but here's the deal. I've got to I'm going to send you a check. You've got to cash it, send me back the money, and then, I don't know, it was this whole back and forth. And so, and he said, I'm going to throw in an extra $1,000 for your having to do this for me because I can't get the loan. I need you to just do this. All right, sure. So he gets the check from the guy. He sends the check in the mail. Hey, I've got a check. I take it to the bank. He's thinking that the bank would be like, oh no, this isn't a real check. Nope, they cashed it. They put the money in his account. He got his extra $1,000, so he thought, and everything was legit. So he sent the guy his extra overage, and the deal was done. A couple weeks later, the bank calls my friend and says, hey, remember that check you deposited? It wasn't real. It was a fake check. So not only is he out the money that he wired to the guy, he's also out the extra $1,000 that he thought he was going to have. So that was a big one. And I kind of was like, how did you fall for that? But people do. And these scammers wouldn't be out there doing it if people weren't falling for it. So trust me, it seems like when we go through these, it's like, oh, how does anybody believe this stuff? I'm telling you, they wouldn't do it if people didn't fall for it. You can sign up for free scam alerts from the FTC at ftc.gov/scams. Get the latest tips and advice about scams sent right to your inbox. So that is our special news and views segment here today. I know I didn't really talk much about coronavirus. Sometimes it's nice to talk about something else for a change. But this was really important, and I wanted to make sure to take the opportunity while I have the audience to share with you some of the information that came to us. Obviously, this is a big deal. The United States Department of Justice felt that this was important enough that they sent us a whole package of information. They sent us the DVD. So I'm grateful for them for sending all of us, and I certainly wanted to make sure that the information was shared with all of you. So we will set this to replay again, probably this afternoon or this evening. And in the meantime, continue to wear your mask, keep your social distance, and go wash your hands. Thank you.